Hey there, guys. This is lesson 20 for your Math Helper, lesson 20, module 2. Today we're continuing on with division, and we're dividing three-digit dividends, three-digit wholes, three-digit dividends by two-digit divisors to get single-digit quotients. And we're just continuing on with our work from the last lesson, from lesson 19, with just one slight change. The change in the newness of what we're doing here, newness, is today we're doing where yesterday we would have done something like this. We were doing our dividends were were multiples of 10. Today we're changing that, and we're doing something like this where it's 21. So now we're kind of having maybe some more realistic problems, and just using kind of the same methods to think about how to divide this. So um, what we're doing with this, we want to go ahead and still then round our dividend here to something to the nearest 10. So 21, we will round that down to 20, and we're also still going to make our whole here something that's reasonable. And so we're going to try. We know 20 would go into 60. I could do 80, but 80 would be too big. 80 is big, and we want to go down. We want to go low when we do this. So let's drop it down to 60. And if I have that, I know that I can simplify that to say 6 divided by 2, and I can get an estimated quotient or of 3. My estimated answer for this is 3, and so what I can do now is I can say to myself, well, this 3 that represents groups of, and it represents 3 groups of 21. Okay? When I take 72 things and I divide them into 21 groups, I have 3 groups of 21. Or I have, sorry, if I take 72 things and I divide them by 21, I would have 21 groups of 3. I could also say that I have 3 groups of 21, and it would be the same thing. But I do want you to visualize that and then kind of make sense of that in your mind. If you had $72 and you have 21 friends, you could give each friend how many dollars? You could give each 21 friend would have $3, right? Um, if you had 3 friends, each one would have $21. So that's what we're doing. That's what dividing is. So back to the problem here. I had an estimated quotient of 3. And so if I take my numbers here and I put them into a standard algorithm of this, and I'm saying I have 3. Well, I'm saying I have 3 groups of 21. So 21 times 3, I can do that mental math, and I can figure that that is 63. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 20 times 3 is 60. And I can find out that I have 9 remaining. And that 9 represents that I put 72 into 3 groups, and I had 9 left over. And so then now, because I get something, but I always want to check it and make sure I got it right. I'm going to do 21 multiplied by 3, and that's going to get me my 63. And my 63 plus 9 is going to bring me back up to a 72. And I know that you're probably saying to yourself, Mr. Abbott, like, this is kind of a duh. Like, I know this, and then we just kind of did just the same thing opposite here, and you're right, and you did. And this might be something that's fairly relatively easy for you to do, and that's a good thing. But when we get to bigger bigger dividends and bigger divisors, this is going to be a really crucial step to make sure that, yep, it does actually come back to my original problem and what I had. So that being said, let's go on to another guy here. This is problem 2, and I want to take a look at something like 94 divided by 43, and we're going to do just the same thing here, where we're going to round. Take a look at that, rounding that divisor. So rounding that divisor, I'll take that divisor down to 40, and I'll take my dividend here and I'll take that down to 80, and I'll do some dividing. 80 divided by 40 is also the same as 8 divided by 4, which is also the same as 2. And so my estimated quotient is 2, and I'm saying 2 groups of 43, 43 groups of 2. It's all the same. So estimated quotient of 2. And if I go ahead and put that into my standard algorithm of 94 divided by 43, and I have my estimated quotient of 2 up top, I'm going to say, well, what is 2 groups of 43? two groups of 43 would be 86. And so now I'm going to find the difference. What we've done here is basically we rounded this down to 40 and checked that out and kind of we're making a guess. We're saying, you know, I think it's going to be about 2. But when we come back down in here into our equation, we're still going to throw back in the 43. Because that's what our original equation, that's what our original problem is. So anyways, 43 times 2, 86. And how many do I have left over? Well, let's do some borrowing. That's 9, that would be 8, and 14. And 14 minus 6 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 8. And 8 minus 8 is 0. So I have a remainder of 8. But let's double check that, make sure that it's making sense on us here. So if I have 43 times 2, wait, I've been doing this in another color, which I like doing that. I like making that kind of stand out. Here we go. Let's say I have 43 times 2, and that's going to be 86, and 86 plus my remainder here of 8 is going to give me 94. And that's correct, and that's what I originally had. So my estimated quotient, my estimated quotient of 2 was correct. Okay, awesome. So now I want to throw a little a monkey wrench into this whole thing, and that's a monkey wrench is something that's going to kind of snag you up or cause us to take a close look at something that's that might be a little bit different. Something I want you to take a good look at. Okay, so let's take a look at this this problem here: 84 divided by 23. All right. And what we've been doing is round the dividend. Sorry, see, I get that messed up myself too. Round the divisor, and I have 23. I would take that down to 20, right? And if I take that down to 20, then I would also take my 84 down to 80. And now I'm going to find my estimated quotient, 8 divided by 2. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm giving an estimated quotient of 4. So now I can go ahead and throw that back into this original equation and see how I've done. So I'm going to take 84 and I'm going to divide it by 23. And I'm saying that I think it's going to be around 4. So I'm going to put 4 up here. And now I'm going to say, okay, what's 4 groups of 23? 23 times 4. I might need to work this out. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 1 is 4 is 2 is 8 and 9, 92. And if I put 92 here, wait a second, now I'm seeing that something's odd, something's up. This does not work out because 84, I can't subtract out 92. We get a negative number. So obviously then 4 was not the correct it was an estimation that we did was good. It's just not correct. This estimation is correct, okay? 80 divided by 20 is 4, and that's a correct estimation. But when we're looking at this, we could probably see that, you know what, this 3 times this 4 is giving us our extra 12, which is really kind of messing up, right? This 3 and this 4. We're not in this estimated equation, and so it's kind of messed us up. So because 92 is too big, when I guessed 4, I'm going to have to go ahead and I'm going to have to change something here. So I'm going to come through. I'm going to take out that 4. I'm going to clear this out here. 4 was not correct. If 4 is not correct, should I go higher or lower? Yeah, I should go lower. So let's try 3. Let's give 3 a chance and see how 3 does. So I'm going to do this in a different color just right next to this. If I take 23 times 3, 3 and 3 is 9, and 3 and 2 is 6. That would give me 69. Let's go ahead and plug that back in and see how that works out for us with an estimated quotient of 3. 69. I'm going to have to borrow 8. I got 7 now, and I got 14. And 14 minus 9 is going to be 5. And 7 minus 6 is going to be 1. And so now I have a remainder of 15, and that looks good to me. I have 15. I can't make another group of 23. So now I'm going to go about, this is where it's really handy to come in to make sure that I'm going to check this. Let's do 23 times 3. And 3 and 3 is 9. And 3 and 2 is 6. And I'm going to add in my 15. And 5 and 9 is 14. And 6 and 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and I have 84, which matches up with my original quotient. So on this one, 3 was correct. What we did there was we went through, and I'm going to recap this problem. We went through and we rounded 23 down to 20. We said to ourselves, that's a good one, and if I'm going to do that, I need to make it something easy over here, and I did 80, and we got an estimated quotient of 4. When we put 4 into the equation and multiplied it by 23, we found that we got 92, which was way too much. So then what we did was we said, okay, well, 4 is too much. Let's drop that down to an estimated quotient of 3. We put 3 back into the equation. We got 69 with a remainder of 15. And after we double checked everything, we found that the quotient of 3 was the correct one. What this shows you is that sometimes after making your estimation, you're going to have to go back and maybe readjust. Maybe the estimated quotient that you chose isn't totally correct, and you're going to need to pick a different one. You're going to need to adjust that. So with that in mind, we're gonna go forward. I have one more problem for you, and then you're on your own. And this one is, let's take a look, 57 divided by 29. Okay, same thing here. When I take a look at this, let's turn this into 30, right? That's what we would do. And I would take this guy and I would turn this guy into, well, 30. I would turn it into 60, right? And 30 divided by 60 divided by 30 is also the same as 6 divided by 3, which is also the same as 2, right? And so then if I went ahead and put this in here, 57 divided by 29 and 2, and 2 groups of 29, well, 29 times 2. 9 and 2 is 18, and 2 and 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, would be 58. And I can see obviously that that's too big, right? So rather than 2, I'm going to have to readjust that guy and bring that back down to a 1. So let's try that. Let's go ahead and do that one down here. I'm going to do that in a different color, okay? So we'll do 57 divided by 29, excuse me, and we're going to try 1 as our quotient, okay? So 1 group of 29 is 29, and if I subtract this all out, I'm going to have to borrow. That would be 4. 17 minus 9 is 8, and 4 minus 2 is 2, and I have 28, and I'm going to go ahead and check that. 29 times 1, well, that's obviously 29, plus 28. See, I'm just doing just the opposites here, right? 8 plus 9 is 17, and that would be 5, and I would get 57. And that would be correct up here as 57. So once again, I've had to readjust my initial quotient. Now, something like this might have been kind of obvious. If I could have just taken a look at the 29, maybe doubled that in my head and seen, well, that was going to be bigger than 57, so I knew that there was only one quotient. Or one, sorry, one. My quotient was only going to be 1 and not 2. What you have to do as you're doing this is a trial and error process. Basically, it's plugging one thing in and seeing if it works, and if it doesn't, then you have to readjust to get the other one. Ultimately, the rounding and the lowering and rounding is a really good way just to get your initial estimation. And estimating these quotients is really going to be crucial as we're going forward into bigger and badder numbers. So make sure you have this down. Post any questions that you have. You guys are doing great, and you're my favorite students of all time. You're the best. So keep it up. Do a good job. See you later.